The Western Gothic aesthetic, also known as goth cowboy, is a full-blown trend for 2024. At least it is according to Pinterest, Apartment Therapy, Better Homes and Gardens, and so on. Everybody is writing about the Western Gothic style. And as a lover of all things dark and dramatic, I want to talk about what the Western Gothic decor trend is and give you some ideas on how you can implement it in your apartment decorating. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi, and on this channel I talk about apartment styling, cozy living, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like if you end up liking it. So what is Western Gothic? Simply put, it's the marriage of the Western aesthetic with the Gothic aesthetic, obviously. On one side, you have the Western aesthetic. It's Americana, it's cowboys, it's John Wayne. There's a rugged masculinity to it, as well as a spirit of adventure, of exploring a new frontier. On the other side, you have the Gothic aesthetic. It's dark fantasy, it's vampires, it's Heathcliff, it's Frankenstein, Edgar Allan Poe. And there's a romanticism to the way it explores and embodies the darkness in humans. These two aesthetics are very different from each other, but at the same time, are they? What they do have in common are two key things: romanticism and exploration. Western stories are the exploration of the land, and Gothic stories are the exploration of the mind. Two very fundamental aspects to the human experience: our physical space and our mental space. And both of these aesthetics explore these things through a very romanticized lens. Western Gothic is the witch in the alleyway of a saloon reading the fortunes of wayward cowboys who were looking for answers at the bottom of a whiskey bottle. Western Gothic is the rugged reality of the desert and the mysticism of the mind. It's ghost riders in the sky. It's a very stimulating style story, and that's because the dichotomy of this style simply resonates with us right down to our complicated core. So that's how I would define Western Gothic. You can basically sum up this style as witchy Westworld. So now that I've shared my academic dissertation on the definition of the Western Gothic aesthetic, let's get to the fun stuff. How can you implement the Western Gothic design trend in your apartment? I'm going to share some styling ideas that you can consider. So let's start with the obvious one. Anything in the Gothic arena is going to involve a dark color palette. And when you add black, charcoal, and even dark green or dark plum to a Western aesthetic, it really creates a cool, mysterious vibe, like a renegade cowboy dressed in head-to-toe black. You can think of a dark color palette as sort of the foundation to a good Western Gothic styling aesthetic. So think about how you can use a dark color palette to sort of set the stage for any Western Gothic vibes you're trying to achieve. Another thing you can do is style a bar cart or bar station in the Western Gothic style. Think saloon meets witch's apothecary. Vintage bottles, whiskey decanters, candles, lots of black, maybe a deck of tarot cards. I think that would look really cool, especially if you have people over and maybe you're pre-gaming before going out for the night. Having a cool display for your drinking experience would elevate the whole vibe. And I personally think that amber and black look lovely together. Now, this next one is not for the faint of heart because it could possibly lead to not getting your damage deposit back when your apartment lease is up. But if you're daring, it would make such a cool statement. And that is ceiling tiles like these. Not only do they have a cool Gothic flourish to them, but they also look like something you'd find on the ceiling of a somewhat upscale Old West saloon or brothel. I just think they'd be perfect for a Western Gothic room. And if you want to play it a little more safe with something like this, you could always make a framed wall display with them to create a textured statement wall. So you'd get the dramatic effect of them without the potential threat to your damage deposit. Another thing you can do is get a faux cow skull. And I'll admit this one's a bit on the nose. Like, it might be the most stereotypically Western visual possible, but I would be remiss to leave it out of a video about Western Gothic styling. I mean, not only is it a super Western visual, but does it get more goth than skull decor? This item in and of itself inherently embodies Western Gothic, and it can make a really striking visual statement in a room, especially when surrounded by a dark color palette. And then there's cacti, of course. This is another classically Western visual, and I do think a cactus or two would look really beautiful in a Gothic context. There's just something about the green of a cactus against a dark color palette that I find so eye-catching. And this recommendation isn't limited to actual physical cacti. You can also incorporate cactus imagery in wall art, throw pillows, any little accent really. Now, I also think that Western Gothic really lends itself to the use of rustic wood and iron. Using these two specific materials together in a room would really embody the dance between Western and Gothic. You have the ruggedness of the rustic wood and the dark severity of iron. Not only do these two materials simply look good together in any context, but using them in a Western Gothic context would be a nice, potentially subtle way to implement Western Gothic into a space. Next up, snake imagery is perfect for Western Gothic styling. It's another one of those visuals that just inherently embodies both Western and Gothic simultaneously. You have the rattlesnake in the desert, and then you have the dark snake enchantress in Gothic lore. Snakes are prominent symbols in both aesthetics, so it's a no-brainer to include snake imagery in Western Gothic styling. This can be done with wall art, rugs, little decorative accents, really anything. If you're ever feeling like your space is playing it a little safe and maybe you're getting kind of bored with your styling, just put a snake image somewhere. It will instantly inject your space with a little danger and rock and roll. And my final recommendation for creating a Western Gothic style in your space is to include vintage pieces. Think about the ornate flourishes of Gothic visuals and the rustic vibes of Americana throughout the years. A Western Gothic room is perfect for vintage or vintage-looking finds. Like I said earlier, Western Gothic is all about the spirit of exploration. And so is a trip to the antique store. And with a good vintage piece, there is that nostalgic romanticism. That piece has a story in it. So by incorporating some vintage finds in your space, you'd be creating that romantic, adventurous visual poetry to your space. So those were some of my ideas on how you can incorporate the Western Gothic decor trend in your apartment. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Western Gothic trend? Are we into it? Are we not into it? Let me know. And if you are into these kind of multifaceted dark decor styles, then I recommend you watch this video next. In this one, I explore dark academia and give you some ideas on how you can do that style in your space. So if you want another dark decor deep dive, watch this one next.